Hello everyone, today's video is a really subtle vertical ombre and some line work. So I'm using a pale pink and then like a medium pink, and they're both kind of purpley toned pinks. I find using colors in the same kind of family makes the blend easier. You can obviously do it with other colors, but it just makes a really smooth gradient if they're kind of the same tone. So I paint the lighter color on one half and then the medium color on the other half, and use a flat brush to kind of blend them down the middle. You want to use a really light touch, because if you use too much of a heavy hand, you kind of scrape away all the polish and you're not going to get the opacity. But you want to move kind of side to side, and I do about 3 coats. I forgot to record the third coat, but I do 3 coats. And yeah, if you'd like a more in-depth video on vertical ombres, just let me know. I am not perfect at vertical ombres, but I can give you a few more hints and tricks to help you with those. Like, you want to use polishes that have the same kind of opacity, meaning you don't want to use one color that's a 1 coat and another one that needs, say, 3 coats to be opaque, because it just, if you want to know, let me know and I'll put that in another video. But anyway, now I'm going in and doing some line work. I'm using a gel paint in white, obviously. It's from Bluesky, and if you mess up, you can use a little silicone tool to kind of push the gel back where you want it. I do quite often use those. Not often it's that pointy one, it's usually one of the flat ones. But anyway, when I'm doing finer lines, I like to use like just the tip of my brush and have barely any product on it. And when I'm doing thicker lines, I use more of my brush and more paint on my brush. You can kind of see I'm still not using the entirety of my brush, but I do like to start out with my lines thinner, and then I can make them thicker if I want to, because if you make them too thick, you can't really make them thinner very easily, if that makes sense. I really need to stop saying but anyway, I'm using a striping brush that it's a cheap one. I think I bought it on AliExpress in I think it came in a bunch of 3, and I trimmed it down so it's thinner because it was just far too thick to work with from the start. I've been quite enjoying using this brush recently, actually, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I often used I'm not even sure what it was called, but the brush that's linked in my description box that I have a video on where I got it from. That was my favorite brush for the longest time, but I think this one that I've cut down myself may be my new favorite line work brush. Anyway, I'm just kind of doodling on the nail, I guess. I had no plan, and because I had no plan, I did the top part, cured it completely, and then went in and did the second part because I wasn't sure what I was going to do and I wasn't sure whether it was going to look good. I like to have part of it cured so that if I don't like the second part, I can just wipe it off and not have to start completely from scratch. So after doing those thin lines, I'm just putting some dots down the strings with a really, really tiny dotting tool, so they kind of look like beaded strings. This part of the design takes inspiration from Selena Ryden. I did a set of nails inspired by one of her designs the other day, and it featured some strings like this, and I thought, well, I think because they were just in my mind, they came out in my doodle. I think in hers she had a couple of different sized dots as well, like she had a big one at the bottom of the strings and maybe another one and another big one in the middle of the strings. But you can do your beads, if they are beads, they're just dots. You can do them any size you want to, and you could even throw in a couple of different coloured ones if you wanted to. I think they look really nice coming out the bottom of like a dream catcher kind of thing. But to be honest, I really was just doodling. You are probably going to see quite a few designs on these nail stick thingies because I am changing the way that I'm displaying my nail art samples. I used to have them on those little circles of nails, you'll see it at the end, but I'm changing it, so I basically need to make a whole bunch more of nail art designs on these sticky things so that I can put them on display. Once I was happy with that design, I fully cured it and then added top coat, and that's the finished design. I really quite like the subtlety of the background. Like, I feel like in some lights it's almost like, is it ombre, or is it just, you know, the light is hitting one side more than the other? It's quite nice and subtle and perfect for spring, summer, which I am in the middle of summer. If you did not know, New Zealand is in the middle of summer at the moment, and it is very hot. So that's the wheel I was talking about. That's how I used to display my designs, and that design there is, I think it's a fairly similar style to the one that I've just done today, but you can see I did that one with gel polish and it's just not as opaque, and I don't know whether it's because I've obviously improved over time. I'll let you know how long ago I did that design. I have to have a look on Instagram. So I don't know whether it's because I'm using gel paint in this new design or a new brush, or just I've gotten better over time. Whatever it is, you can see the improvement, and it's always good to go back and see if you have improved. And I think I have. But anyway, that is all for this video. If you've got any questions, requests, anything like that, don't forget to leave them in the comments. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next week for another video. Bye!